Now, just a couple of years ago, it was inconceivable that Burma could host a major international event. But today, hundreds of the most important people in business are there for the World Economic Forum. It's a remarkable transformation to democracy, but human rights organisations say we shouldn't be fooled. Let's cross live now to Rangoon and our Asia correspondent Mark Stone. This is quite an achievement, Mark.
It is, and I'm very sorry, court came to us just a little bit too late. As you can see behind me, the president of Myanmar, the president of Burma, a former military dictator himself, but now turned to democracy, has come here to the World Economic Forum. This country has had a remarkable transition over the past 2 years. 3 years ago, it was effectively a military dictatorship. Since then, we've seen Aung San Suu Kyi being released, the sanctions have been lifted, the transformations are remarkable.
Burma is on the move. Tradition may still be well ingrained in this place, and much of Rangoon is stuck in time after half a century of military dictatorship. But 2 years have passed since the generals turned towards democracy, and a year since the icon of that change, Aung San Suu Kyi, was elected to parliament. The people are slowly seeing what that means. More than 1,000 workers sew in this new factory, and it's vast. 600 suits come out of here every day, and labour is cheap. These young women get the equivalent of £75 a month, far more than they got just a few years ago. Manager Kazuto Kamazuki is on the cusp of his biggest contract, Marks & Spencer. They've inspected the factory once, asked for safety improvements, and their inspectors are back to check again.
Now we just follow their guidance, the Marks & Spencer's guidance. And then some points we need to be improved, like that we have to have an arrow on the floor for the evacuation in case of the fire. Yeah, only after that we can export our products to Marks & Spencer.
To Britain?
Yes.
Made in Myanmar, made in Burma?
Yeah.
With more money in their pockets, the workers we spoke to told us life is better. Foreign investment then, here at least, is improving working conditions for them and making labels like this a reality. For an idea of just how much has changed over a remarkably short space of time, take a look at this. A bustling new port right in the middle of Rangoon. Just 2 years ago, before those sanctions were removed, none of this was here. Now there are containers from all around the world. Those Marks & Spencer's suits and everything else that this country has to offer will be exported from ports like this. And that's just half the story. Because remember, this is a country that imported next to nothing for 2 decades. The buses limp along, the trucks are from a different era. Now anyone can sell here. This is on every level an almost virgin market. Still, the challenges are huge. This is a place made up of many ethnic groups. With the dictatorship gone, the tensions they kept in check are back. Religions have clashed. Monks accused of encouraging attacks against Muslims. More than 100 have died. For now, that's many miles from all this progress, but it is a signal that this emerging democracy isn't quite there yet.
Now, as I said just before my report there, we are at the World Economic Forum, the Asia division of that forum. It's historic that it should be held in somewhere like Burma because, as you saw there, just 2 years ago, this country was a very different place. We've driven up from Rangoon, which was featured in that report, to the capital. It's a bizarre place, Naypyidaw. It was built secretly by the former military dictatorship. They claimed at the time they were building a military barracks, and then overnight they quite literally moved the capital here, moved all the ministries here, and it's a blank canvas. It's completely deserted, apart from one place, the convention centre here, because the World Economic Forum is taking place, and businessmen and women are here from around the world to test the water, see whether Myanmar, whether Burma really is coming in from the cold, whether it is somewhere they can invest. I'm joined now by Simon Matthews. He's from the firm ManpowerGroup. Simon, what have you made of what you've seen so far? Do you reckon this is somewhere you can invest?
Yeah, I think so, Mark. What we've seen, it's got huge potential, population of around about 60 million people, a lot of resources. I think some of the challenges from our point of view, manpower and the human capital, 20 years of very little education. There's a real skill shortage, so they really need help on the skills and on vocational skills as well.
And there's a geopolitical aspect to this, isn't there, as well? Because as we saw in my report there, that company featured making Marks and Spencer's suits, perhaps, if they win the contract. They used to be based in China. They've now shut their Chinese factories and they've come here. Explain why that is.
Well, in China, we've seen year-on-year salary increases around about 15 to 20%. So sort of salaries in Burma for blue-collar workers around about 100 US. In Thailand, where I'm from, they're around about 300 US, and in China, it can be 400 to 500 US. So, it's wanting to come into a sort of a more cost-effective workforce that manufacturing companies, especially in the garment industry, which you mentioned about Marks and Spencer's, as they move up the skill chain, if they want to get into the electronics and the automotive, they're going to need a lot more skill to help them on that.
Now, no one can report about Burma and ignore a very big problem that has emerged since the dictatorship fell away, and that is the ethnic tensions in the west of the country. Does it concern you as an investor that there are these problems?
I'm always concerned about any troubles in any country, but even where I am, I've been in Thailand 21 years. We have ethnic problems in the south with the Muslims. It's going to be focused around Rangoon, so I don't think there's going to be a major. I think it's going to be infrastructure and skills are going to be the two decided, and the other one is sort of the law to make sure that's acceptable to everyone.
All right, Simon Matthews from ManpowerGroup.
Thank you very much
indeed. So there you see it. If we had a crossroads 2 years ago when Aung San Suu Kyi was released from jail, I think we're really at another crossroads now, whether or not these ethnic clashes can be dealt with and whether the international investment here in Burma can really take hold.
Okay, Mark, thank you. Mark Stone reporting live from Naypyidaw for us there.